I have a third theory. This one I came up with because of the fact that it seems like the most likely explanation behind it. So I wanted to actually use my channel. I wanted to go ahead and mention the more ideas. We had other ideas that I'm going to do with Ian, but these ideas were mine mostly. However, he had some say in it, so he could debate whether they're really all entirely mine or not, because we both were talking about it together, so we should have done it together, but I went ahead because I couldn't wait. But these are just two theories out of the several or so other things we discussed that we wanted to get out there, so there's more theories to come, but these are just the ones that I came up with and described. So the third theory, I want to make a bet with you. I can't remember how many days it was. I'm guessing it's 32 more days until Second Son comes out. But we couldn't figure out. You guys have heard it before because it was in one of his previous ideas, is that the way conduits survived the blast of the RFI was that Zeke actually broke the RFI in such a way that it didn't actually work like it was supposed to and skipped over conduits due to a post made by Sucker Punch saying it was selective and it didn't work quite as planned, and it, that's all they said. They said it in a way like that where it didn't work like it was supposed to, and they didn't say why. Well, my theory is why Conduit survived is because on the rooftop, when on chapter 39, the final decision, on the rooftop, they say, or Cole starts firing up the RFI, and then they all of the conduits except for Zeke, because he's not, start dropping and they're dying, and it's not even fully fired off, and they're just like killing themselves accidentally, and Cole can't stop. So in order to make him stop, Zeke rips his amp off of Cole's back and whacks the RFI with it. It breaks it, and it starts fizzing and going as like it's broken. You can tell it's broken. So that would explain why it was broken, because Zeke broke it. So I want to make a bet to you that the reason they could have a totally different explanation, but I want to make a bet somehow, some way. You guys can choose what happens, what happens if I win, what happens if you win, and whichever one we like best will feature that, and then we'll honor that. But it was my idea to have a bet. So the bet is that I bet you that my theory is the same one that that Sucker Punch had in mind as to why Conduit survived. If I'm wrong and they have a different explanation, then I lose the bet. If they have the same explanation as the theory I came up with, that Zeke broke the RFI, causing it to skip over certain conduits, meaning that Delsin somehow got lucky and survived, and dormant conduits, other ones that are lucky and didn't get activated, actually instead of dying from the RFI blast, actually had their genes activated instead, or some crap like that. So that's why a lot of conduits are still alive today, 15 years later, after Cole uses the RFI and kills most of them. So it appears that all the conduits died, but really that's not what happened. The conduit plague is different altogether. I also had an idea about that, but mainly what I wanted to get out is the bet. So I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly, but the bet goes like this. I bet you that my idea is the exact same as Sucker Punch's idea as to why the conduit survived. If I'm wrong, you can tell me what we should do as a bet. So if I lose, I give you guys something, or if I win, or all of us give you guys something you want to see, or if I win, then I don't know, you guys. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to decide what happens and the winning and losing conditions. And if you guys can pick the best one, we'll feature your comment. That's for sure. The one we all agree with and all like. So quick shout out to Pyro, the Duck, Ian, and everybody who's in the group, including Gabby, who is a new member that I recruited. we all need to decide on the comments. So we're going to go through on my channel to see. So everybody direct the bet portion of it to my channel and have them comment on what they think is good winning and losing conditions. And then we'll pick the best one out of all of the comments and feature that one, and then, you know, honor the winning and losing when the game actually comes out. So it needs to be done quickly, but I wanted to get that out there. So everybody who supports the bet, come on over to my channel and comment what you'd like the winning and losing conditions to be, and also comment if you have any questions on how exactly we're going to go about doing that, and expect more theory videos with me and Ian to come. But basically, I also wanted to get out the whole what the plague was. They didn't really explain too well. Actually, there's also an explanation to why. So, Infamous 2 and 1 were built in such a way that they were actually left with a lot of unanswered questions for fans. I think the main reason that Infamous hits home with me, and I will always remember it, and why I think it's a 10 out of 10 game for both games, is because of how many things we could keep doing with it. You could make a comic book fanfic, you can make a movie, you can make this, you can make that. You can make anything based off of the information they gave you, but they gave you just a little bit so that you could use that information and draw a theory like I've been doing. So, the fact that the game leaves a lot of plot holes open or unsolved, or a lot of issues unexplained, is because they want us to fill in the story. And that's what I think is really cool. Not only is it a choice game, but it's also something that you can keep on doing just, you know, for the hell of it. It's something that I think is a really fun, cool, creative, awesome game because the story was great, well built, and left just open enough that fans can actually build their own stories and prove this or argue this or do whatever and just keep talking about it. You can't drop the subject because there's just so much left undiscovered or unsolved or unexplained, so I kind of enjoy that aspect of the game. Not many games have really been stuff that I really want to talk about with people because it's just, you know, it's not interesting. But this game, I just could keep talking and talking and talking, and that's how I got in contact with Ian, and we started collaborating, and, you know, we just love the game. We know a lot about it. We study it. We go to the Sucker Punch forums. We have Twitters, all this crap, and we just enjoy all the stuff that the game has done. So that's my justification for why the game for me is a 10 out of 10, because there's not very many games out there that I actually know a lot about or was super into and talked about and constantly wanted more updates about and wanted to make stuff or make my own. It's a form of art, really, when it comes down to it. So that's why I like Infamous as a franchise. It's because I could just keep talking about it, and it's just, you can make your own stories, and you can't really be wrong because they're left open in such a way that you really can't get a clear explanation, but you can draw like theories or conclusions based on the information they did give you. So that aspect makes it so that it's all a great community and people can share their thoughts and disprove each other's in a safe, awesome, you know, fun way, without getting criticism or something of that manner, or being, you know, bullied or picked on while they're sharing their ideas, because there is no really bad ideas as long as you're, you know, including some of the information from the game. So if you're using the info they gave you to your advantage, then you can prove or disprove based on plot holes or twists or whatever you want to call it. So basically it's just one big game that I can't really explain that well because I don't have the words, I'm not that advanced, but I like talking about it, I like making theories, and I just enjoyed the game, and I'll remember that game for pretty much the rest of my life, because it's the only game that I've really continuously, after all of this, it was the one game that I could just go back to and just screw around with, just for the frick of it. It was the one game that I really thought was built in such a way, even though it was flawed, even though Infamous 2 had a lot of things that made it not very good, as good as the first one, I mean, I still think that the way Sucker Punch did it, I still think that they still did a pretty darn good job for the time crunch they had. But now, without further ado, I want to explain my theory around the Conduit Plague. So, the Conduit Plague, I'm thinking... Here's the theory. Ian said that there was a guy who was exposed to the Ray Sphere 23 times and become this giant monster and whatever, and they killed him in water. I can't remember what he was. I can't even remember exactly what his powers were, but I think the description I got was he was like sludge or purple or whatever. He's like a slime god, but I don't know for sure. What my point is, they apparently defeated him or killed him or whatever the case, but being exposed to the Ray Sphere 23 times could leave you open for other things, and you could branch off the idea of the fact that, oh my god, you guys overdid it, what the heck, why did you do this? You not only activated his gene, but you also supercharged it and then kept on going. It's like giving something a crap ton of electricity and having it run and just keep on. It's exactly what Cole did at the beginning. You know how he shoots the generator, and if he just keeps shooting it, it'll eventually just blow up because there's too much electricity. That's what they did. They overdid it in such a manner that not only did they activate the gene, but they freaking altered the gene or screwed with it, with its chemistry or bioengineering or whatever you want to call it, in such a way that killing him actually caused him to like somehow spread apart his molecules into a kind of disease or something. So he still, this is my theory, that the Conduit Plague is a living, breathing, or it was a living, breathing person at one point, but upon the activation or whatever the case, it was able to turn a human into a virus that was infecting and killing a crap ton of people. So basically, it was the hidden antagonist, so to speak, and I believe that the plague isn't actually just a plague. It's actually, it's kind of like Electro, where he spreads himself infinitely thin across all things electrical. So he's basically splitting his molecules, but he's still there in a sense. So what I'm thinking is that the reason for the plague was basically the same reason why they gave this guy 23 or so blasts of the RFI, so they overdid it. And, you know, this would also shed a light on whether Delsin was indirectly related to this guy that they tested on and ended up killing in the very end because he was an antagonist or so. Delsin, his power is like an alternate or mutated or different strand of Conduit gene, where usually you'd expect that the Conduit gene, we've drawn a conclusion that the Conduit gene actually needed to be activated by something or rather. And the first thing you say is, oh, it's a blast of some sort by some sort of technology. But no, that's not true, because Quo didn't get an explosive blast or any type of really technology. She got her powers a different way from other people who had all the same power. And so we also drew a conclusion that the Conduit gene comes in different strands where you can have your own type of power and it won't show itself in any other certain conduit. Or you can have a power that a lot of conduits have in common and they all share, so then you get the people like the Reapers and the Dustbin and the Swamp Monsters and the Icemen, where they all share abilities. So but I have to go, so I will talk about more about what that really is and how the Conduit gene really works. But I hope I explained what I think accurately the Conduit gene or Conduit Plague really is, and I think that it's actually a real conduit that was once a human that turned into a virus. I mean, it's possible. So there you go. That's that, and I hope